somebody ever tells you they see something, believe them, because this picture is actual proof of that. This photo was captured by Nadia Hassan in the Bushwind boarding school women's locker room. She came running out of this locker room and claimed that she saw a figure, not a person, not a woman, a figure. Obviously, this sounded ridiculous. Nobody believed her, not even the administration, but she said, no, I have a picture. I've got a picture of this. She showed them this photo, and I don't know of any other way to like discern between what this is and what this isn't. That's a body that looks like a person. And if it's not that, then what is this? What are we even looking at?
Have you seen videos that actually like scared the shit out of you on the internet, like ghost or jinn related?
Bro, you can never, this is something that you have to know, you can never ever see a jinn. Impossible.
No, but like ghost creatures.
Impossible.
Like...
Islamically proven. You cannot see a jinn. We have something called the ghisha. We cannot see their world, and a lot of them cannot see us.
You're not gonna believe this. Recently in May 2023, a couple nurses were working the late shift and decided to go explore a floor of their hospital that many believe is haunted. The floor is the old ER and has been abandoned for quite some time. Many passed away on this floor, and doctors, nurses, and staff refused to go in there alone. So the group decided to go explore. They wanted to check it out just for fun, but little did they know they would end up running for their lives. This is their footage from that night. Take a look.
Upstairs. It's right upstairs. Yeah, that's upstairs.
Do it.
They look like evil eyes. You guys need to come in with me.
Yeah, of course we're gonna go in with you.
Thanks. Ooh, this feels weird. Was that you?
Yeah.
This room feels weird. Ooh. Oh! 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 The curtain moved!
No, it didn't.
Yeah, it did. It moved.
No,
It moved.
it
It
didn't.
moved. Yes, it did.
Why would the
It did.
curtain move?
How did you not see that? Oh, okay!
Creeped out yet? As one of the nurses enters a room, the curtain moves and then a cane falls over on its own. These nurses believe this was paranormal and were left spooked by the experience. What are your thoughts on this footage?
Quick little side note, if you ever run across a little ghost girl, it is 99.9% definitely not a child. This is usually a D word. They take the form of a child because they want you to let your guard down and allow them in. Now story time, this was submitted by Claire. I tagged her down below. Back in 2020, Claire, her mom, her dad, and 4-year-old sister moved into a home that was built in the 1960s. From the moment they moved in, Claire's little 4-year-old sister started to say that there was a girl by the name of Hannah that lived with them. No one in the family even knew anyone by that name, but as months went on, her little sister kept saying that Hannah would constantly hang out with her. It got to the point that the family started to get creeped out. Often, Claire would hear her little sister talking to somebody who wasn't there in her room. A lot of times, Claire would go up to her and ask if she wanted to play a game, but her little sister would tell her no because she was already playing the game with Hannah. Claire tried to shrug it off as her just probably having an imaginary friend, until one day Claire had gotten home from school. The minute she walked in, her little sister told her not to sit on the couch because Hannah was sitting there. Claire, wanting to mess with her sister, decided to sit on the couch repeatedly and stand up and then sit on it repeatedly, saying, "Ooh, what's Hannah gonna do about it?" It was all fun and games until that night. Claire was laying in bed, everybody was asleep, when she happened to open her eyes and saw a little girl standing at the foot of her bed. The girl looked to be about 8 to 10 years old, dressed in 1900s clothes with long black hair. She was just standing there, eerily staring at her. Claire was of course terrified and decided to just cover herself and hope that this thing would just go away. The next morning she told her mom about it, but of course her mom did not believe her. They shortly ended up moving out of this house, but this would not be the end of it. Hannah ended up following them into the new home. Claire went from having that first experience to then constantly waking up, to Hannah being in the room with her. A lot of times she would sit on the other side of the bed and would rock back and forth, or she would just stroke her hair or like rub her back. Claire decided to tell her dad about it. He confessed that he too was also having experiences. A lot of times he would wake up to somebody pulling his leg like his mom used to when he was in school. Claire's parents ended up saging and cleansing the home, and within a month's time, all of the activity finally stopped. Till this day, Claire wonders where Hannah even came from and why she came into their lives in the first place.
This is the scary story about sneaking out. One summer night, a girl named Kim snuck out of her house to go to a party. When she got to the party, she started saying hi to all of her friends, got a couple drinks, and started having a great time. Later that night, when the party ended and everybody started to leave, Kim started walking home. And the whole time walking home, she had the strangest feeling that somebody was watching her. So Kim began walking a little bit faster. Then out of nowhere, a man dressed in all black appeared on the road. Kim then let out a terrifying scream as the man sprinted towards her. The next morning, Kim's parents were woken up by somebody knocking on the door. When Kim's father looked through the peephole, he saw Kim's face, so he immediately opened the door. But what he saw when he opened that door haunts him to this day. It was Kim's severed head hanging from a nail above the door, with her head directly in front of the peephole. Kim's murderer was never found, and to this day the case remains open. And the scary part is, this man could be out there still doing the same exact thing he did to Kim.
Most terrifying paranormal footage, part 25.
Just here, it's like a sports camera there, and it's going to film the window just there. So we'll just see what happens and see if we do get actually a visitor tonight. We'll just make sure this is all shut and everything, which it is.
This is the scary story about the baby's first words. There was a woman named Mary who had a 19-month-old baby girl. She loved her baby so much and couldn't wait for her to say her first words. One night when Mary was cooking dinner, her husband called her out into the living room. He said their daughter was trying to say something. After Mary and her husband watched their baby mumble for a bit, the baby then said, "Mommy dies." Mary and her husband both looked at each other in confusion. Mary thought she misheard her baby, but by the look at her husband's face, they heard the same thing. The couple then laughed it off and went on with their night. The next morning, Mary was on her way to work when she suddenly got into a fatal car accident. She was then immediately rushed to the hospital where her daughter and husband were waiting for her. When Mary's daughter and husband went into the room she was in, Mary's daughter pointed at her and said, "Mommy dies." And minutes later, Mary died from her injuries. Nobody knows how the baby knew her mom was going to die. This led to Mary's husband resenting the baby because he believed his baby had some cause in his wife's death. He then put the baby up for adoption not even a year later. To this day, nobody knows where the girl is, and many people wonder if she's still predicting people's deaths. This is a scary story about the stare. A girl was sitting on a subway late one night when she noticed that the woman sitting across from her was staring intently at her. The woman was sitting between two old men. The girl kept looking away, but the woman wouldn't break eye contact with her. The stare was beginning to freak the girl out. At the next stop, a new passenger got on. It was a tall man in a gray trench coat. He sat down next to the girl. The woman paid no attention to the man in the trench coat. She just kept looking at the girl, who was getting more and more creeped out as time went on. The two old men didn't even glance in her direction. She pretended not to notice, but each time she glanced at the strange woman, the stare continued. When the train was pulling into the next stop, the man in the trench coat got up to leave. Suddenly, he grabbed the girl's arm tightly, and as the doors opened, he dragged her off the train. The doors shut and the train pulled off, leaving the girl alone on the platform with the man in the trench coat. She started screaming out loud, begging for help. But the man in the trench coat said, "Calm down, I just saved your life. I didn't mean to scare you, but I had to get you off that train." The woman sitting opposite of you was dead, and the two men beside her were propping up her body.
Whatever you do, don't fall for me. Don't put your trust in me. Don't even lie for me. I want you, honey.